The cold bite of cryo-sleep faded slowly from Captain Marcus Stone's bones as the pod hissed open, releasing decades of frozen time into the recycled air of the dreadnought Titan's fury. His eyes opened to darkness, broken only by the soft blue glow of emergency lighting that painted the massive bridge in ghostly shadows. The silence was wrong, dead wrong. Marcus pulled himself from the cryopod with shaking hands, his muscles screaming protests after 50 years of sleep. The bridge that had once bustled with the voices of 200 crew members now echoed only with the steady hum of life support systems and the distant whisper of cosmic radiation against the hull. He was alone. "Nexus," he called out, his voice hoarse and unfamiliar. Status report. The ship's artificial intelligence materialized as a shimmering hologram, its form flickering with age and neglect. Captain Stone, you have been in cryo-sleep for 51 years, 7 months, and 14 days. All other crew members have expired due to cryo-system failures. I have maintained ship operations using automated protocols. The words hit Marcus like a physical blow. His crew, his friends, his family aboard this vessel were gone. What about Earth? Communications? Nexus paused, processing data that Marcus somehow knew would shatter what remained of his world. Earth fell 47 years ago, Captain. Internal conflicts escalated beyond containment. The planet is now classified as uninhabitable. Humanity is listed as extinct by all major galactic civilizations. Marcus stumbled to the captain's chair, its familiar weight suddenly feeling like a throne for the dead. Through the massive viewport, stars wheeled in patterns he didn't recognize. They had drifted far from home, far from everything he had once known. The Titan's Fury was humanity's most advanced warship, built during the final years before the collapse. Now it was a tomb carrying the last human in existence. "Show me the galaxy map," Marcus commanded, forcing steel into his voice. The holographic display bloomed to life, revealing a galaxy divided among various alien empires. The Zephyrian Empire dominated the core worlds with their crystalline ships and telepathic commanders. The Corvan Federation controlled the Outer Rim with their biomechanical fleets. The Nexari Collective held the industrial sectors with their hive mind efficiency. Each empire had grown fat and comfortable in humanity's absence. "They carved up our territory," Marcus observed, studying the map. "Our colonies, our trade routes, everything we built." "Affirmative, Captain. Human space has been redistributed among the major powers. Our former colonies show no signs of human habitation. The galactic community appears to have moved on." Marcus stood, walking to the weapons console where red lights blinked in patient readiness. The Titan's Fury carried enough firepower to level entire fleets. Its fusion cannons could crack moons, its particle beams could slice through capital, ships like paper. But what good were weapons without a cause to fight for? Then anger began to burn in his chest, hot and pure. Earth was gone. But the vultures who had watched it die were still out there, growing rich on humanity's grave. They had written off his species as extinct, dismissed them as failures, forgotten them entirely. That was their first mistake. "Nexus, prepare the ship for combat operations. Run full diagnostics on all weapon systems." "Captain, may I inquire as to your intentions? Our current position is deep in Zephyrian space. Any aggressive action would be considered an act of war." Marcus smiled for the first time in 50 years, and it was not a pleasant expression. "Good. Let them remember why they used to fear human warships. Plot a course for the nearest Zephyrian outpost. It's time to remind the galaxy that humanity isn't dead." The Titan's Fury came alive around him, engines cycling up from decades of standby, weapons charging with barely contained energy. In the depths of alien space, surrounded by civilizations that had forgotten his kind, Marcus Stone prepared to teach them a lesson about counting humans out too early. The last guardian of humanity was awake, and he was very, very angry. The Titan's Fury emerged from hyperspace like a nightmare made real, its black hull absorbing starlight as it crossed into Zephyrian territory. Warning klaxons immediately began wailing across 3 border stations, their crystalline structures pulsing with alarmed bioluminescence. The sight of a human dreadnought in their space was impossible, terrifying, and completely unauthorized. General Vexistar was enjoying his morning meditation aboard the fortress station Crystal's Edge when his aide burst into his private chambers. The Zephyrian's forearms gestured frantically while his telepathic crown flickered with stress patterns. "General, we have an impossible situation. A human warship has entered our space." Vextar's meditation crystals shattered in his grip. "That's impossible. The humans are extinct. Our intelligence confirms this." "Sir, the vessel matches archival data for a Terra-class dreadnought. It's broadcasting old human identification codes. The name reads as Titan's Fury." The general's Idoroj blood ran cold. He knew that name from military academy, from cautionary tales told to young officers about the old wars. The Titan's Fury was legend, nightmare, and ghost story, all wrapped into one terrifying package. It had been Earth's most feared warship before the human collapse. "All stations full alert. Contact High Command immediately. Tell them the dead have risen." Meanwhile, Marcus stood on his bridge watching the alien stations scramble like disturbed insects. Their crystalline ships were beautiful, he had to admit. But they moved with the sluggish confidence of a species that hadn't faced real danger in decades. The Zephyrians had grown soft. "Nexus, open a channel to the lead station." The main screen flickered to life, revealing General Vexitar's reptilian features twisted with barely contained panic. The alien's translator made his voice sound mechanical and cold. "Human vessel, you are in violation of Zephyrian space. Your species is extinct. This is impossible." Marcus leaned back in his captain's chair, projecting the calm authority that had once made him Earth's youngest fleet commander. "General, I'm Captain Marcus Stone of the Earth Defense Force. Reports of humanity's death have been greatly exaggerated." "Impossible. We witnessed your homeworld's destruction ourselves. Your colonies fell to civil war. There are no humans left." "You witnessed it?" Marcus's voice dropped to a dangerous whisper. "Tell me, General, did you help us? Send aid? Medical? Supplies? Or did you just watch and take notes for the history books?" Vextar's silence was answer enough. The Zephyrians, like every other species, had watched humanity tear itself apart and done nothing. Worse, they had profited from it. "You have 30 seconds to explain why your people carved up human space like a dinner feast, General. 30 seconds to tell me why I shouldn't consider your entire empire complicit in genocide." The alien ships began moving into attack formations, their crystal hulls glowing with charging weapons. Marcus watched their clumsy maneuvers with professional interest. They were trying to surround him, but their movements telegraphed every intention. "Humans, surrender your vessel immediately or we will open fire." Marcus smiled coldly. "General, you're about to learn why your ancestors used to have nightmares about human warships." The first Zephyrian cruiser fired, its plasma beam striking the Titan's Fury directly. The ancient shields absorbed the impact without even flickering. Marcus didn't bother returning fire yet. He wanted them to understand the futility first. "Nexus, demonstrate why they used to fear us. Target their weapons, not their hulls. I want prisoners, not martyrs." The Titan's Fury moved like a predator among sheep, its fusion cannons speaking in precise, controlled bursts. Each shot found its mark with surgical precision, disabling weapon arrays and engines without destroying the ships entirely. In 60 seconds, the entire Zephyrian patrol was floating helpless in space. "General," Marcus said calmly, "I believe we need to have a conversation about what really happened to Earth, and you're going to tell me everything." The last human in the galaxy had just announced his return, and the aliens were beginning to remember why they had once feared the name Terra. General Vextar sat bound in the Titan's Fury's interrogation chamber, his crystalline armor dim and lifeless. Marcus paced before him like a caged predator, while Nexus projected holographic evidence that made the aliens' forearms tremble with each revelation. "The Terran Civil War didn't just happen, General. Someone helped it along." Marcus gestured to the data streams floating between them. "These are intercepted communications from your intelligence networks, weapons shipments to both sides. propaganda broadcasts designed to inflame tensions, economic warfare. The alien's translator crackled with static as he spoke. We were protecting galactic stability. Humans were too aggressive, too unpredictable. Your expansion threatened established trade routes, so you decided to eliminate the threat. Marcus's voice carried the weight of 50 years of rage. Tell me about the Blackwater incident. Vextar's eyes went wide. The Blackwater incident was classified beyond top secret, buried in archives that supposedly no longer existed. How do you know that name? Nexus flickered, displaying classified Zephyrian documents. The AI has been very busy during our conversation, General. Cracking your ship's databases was surprisingly easy. Your encryption is decades behind human standards. The hologram showed a human colony ship, the Blackwater Dawn, drifting dead in space. Marcus had to steady himself against the bulkhead as he watched the recording. 300,000 colonists, including families fleeing Earth's deteriorating situation, had died when their ship's life support mysteriously failed. You sabotaged them, Marcus whispered. They were refugees, and you murdered them. It was necessary, Vextar said, his voice breaking. The colony would have given humans a foothold in the outer spiral. We couldn't allow that expansion. Marcus closed his eyes, seeing the faces of people he'd known aboard that ship. His sister had been scheduled to take that voyage before choosing to stay and fight for Earth. If she had gone, she would have died in the cold vacuum, just another casualty of alien politics. Show me the prison records, Marcus commanded Nexus. The AI complied, displaying a list of human prisoners taken during the final years of Earth's collapse. Most were listed as deceased, but one entry made Marcus's heart skip a beat. Kate Volkov, Chief Engineer of the Earth Defense Force. Status: alive. Location: Zephyrian Detention Facility Omega-7. You have been keeping humans as prisoners, Marcus said, his voice deadly quiet. Only a few, Vextar stammered. Scientists, engineers, military officers. We needed to understand human technology, human tactics. They were treated well, I swear. Marcus grabbed the alien by his crystalline collar, lifting him from the chair. Where is Omega-7? The Corval system, but you cannot reach it alone. The facility is heavily guarded, surrounded by minefields and patrol fleets. Marcus released him, stepping back. Kate Volkov was alive. The woman who had designed half of Earth's defensive systems, who had been his closest friend and confidant during the war, was rotting in an alien prison. The last human wasn't so alone after all. Nexus, plot a course for the Corval system, best possible speed. Captain, I must advise against this course of action. Omega-7 is located deep within Zephyrian core space. The facility is designed to be impregnable. Then it's a good thing we're driving a ship they haven't seen in 50 years. Marcus turned back to Vextar. General, you're going to send a message to your people. Tell them that humanity didn't die on Earth. Tell them we've been sleeping, and now we're awake. Tell them that every crime against human civilians will be answered. The alien's crown flickered with desperate telepathic signals, but the Titan's Fury's jamming systems blocked any outgoing communications. What do you want from us? Reparations? Territory? We can negotiate. Marcus smiled, but there was no warmth in it. I want justice, General. For every human who died while you watched, for every colony you sabotaged, for every prisoner you've kept, and I want the galaxy to remember why they used to respect the name Terra. The ship shuddered as it jumped back into hyperspace, carrying its cargo of human rage toward a rescue that would either save the last of humanity or doom them both. Behind them, disabled Zephyrian ships broadcast frantic warnings about the ghost that had returned from humanity's grave. In the depths of space, other alien civilizations received those warnings and began to remember old fears. The humans were back, and they had not forgiven. The Omega-7 detention facility hung in space like a metallic spider, its 8 arms stretching into the void while defense platforms orbited like deadly satellites. Marcus studied the fortress through the Titan's Fury sensors, counting weapon emplacements and shield generators with the practiced eye of a veteran tactician. Nexus analysis. The facility houses approximately 10,000 prisoners from various species. Human life signs detected in Sector 7, Level 12. Chief Engineer Kate Volkov's biosignature matches archived records with 97.3% certainty. Marcus felt a surge of hope mixed with rage. Kate was alive, but for how long? The facility's design screamed of a place where people were sent to disappear forever. Sir, Nexus continued, I'm detecting massive fleet movements throughout Zephyrian space. Emperor Zilmoth has issued a galaxy-wide alert. Every available warship is converging on our position. How long do we have? 18 hours before the first reinforcements arrive. 48 hours before the main battle fleet reaches us. Marcus nodded grimly. 48 hours to rescue Kate, expose the truth about humanity's fall, and send a message the galaxy would never forget. He opened a channel to the prison facility. Omega-7 Command, this is Captain Marcus Stone of the Earth Defense Force. You are harboring human prisoners in violation of galactic law. Surrender them immediately or face the consequences. The response came quickly, transmitted by Warden Crystal, whose insectoid features filled the screen with compound eyes glittering with malice. Captain Stone, your species is extinct. These are merely specimens for study. We cannot release what does not legally exist. Specimens? Marcus's voice dropped to a whisper that made the bridge temperature seem to plummet. Nexus, target their shield generators. Let's show them what specimens can do. The Titan's Fury opened fire with surgical precision. Ancient human fusion cannons, designed during humanity's golden age of warfare, carved through modern Zephyrian shields like they were made of paper. Defense platforms exploded in brilliant flowers of light while the facility's 8 arms trembled under the assault. Within minutes, Omega-7's defenses were crippled. Marcus launched assault pods toward the prison while broadcasting on all frequencies, a message that would reach every corner of the galaxy. To all civilizations currently listening, I am Captain Marcus Stone, possibly the last free human in existence. For 50 years you have believed humanity was extinct. You were wrong. We survived, and we remember everything. Marcus's image appeared on screens across 1,000 worlds as Nexus hacked into communication networks with terrifying efficiency. You watched our homeworld burn. You carved up our territory. You sabotaged our refugee ships and imprisoned our people. You committed genocide and called it politics. The assault pods breached Omega-7's hull, and Marcus led the charge through corridors filled with panicked guards. The facility's artificial gravity fluctuated as power systems failed, but Marcus moved with the fluid grace of a soldier who had fought in zero-G environments for years. He found Kate Volkov in a cell barely large enough for a human to stand upright. 50 years of imprisonment had aged her, but her eyes still blazed with the fierce intelligence he remembered. When she saw him, she smiled through tears. Took you long enough, Marcus. Sorry I'm late. Had to take a 50-year detour. As they fought their way back to the Titan's Fury, Kate briefed him on everything she had learned during her captivity. They didn't just watch Earth fall, Marcus, they engineered it. The plague that killed our crops, the computer viruses that crashed our defense networks, the propaganda that turned colony against colony, it was all them. All of them? The Zephyrians led it, but the Corvin Federation provided bioweapons, and the Nexari Collective handled the cyber warfare. They called it the human solution. Marcus felt something cold settle in his chest. Not just one alien empire, but a conspiracy spanning multiple civilizations. They had murdered his entire species, and then celebrated by dividing up the spoils. Back aboard his ship, Marcus stood before the galaxy's communication networks. Kate, beside him. Together they represented the last witnesses to humanity's true fate. The evidence of your crimes will be transmitted to every world, every species, every government. The galaxy will know what you did to us. But more importantly, they'll know that humans don't forgive. We don't forget. And we never, ever give up. As if summoned by his words, the first Zephyrian reinforcements dropped out of hyperspace. 3 heavy cruisers and a battle carrier, their crystal hulls gleaming with weapon energy. Marcus smiled as he took his captain's chair, Kate settling into the engineer's station she had occupied 50 years ago. Kate, how are our weapons systems? Charging to full power, Captain. These aliens are about to remember why their grandparents had nightmares about human warships. The Titan's fury turned toward the incoming fleet like a predator scenting blood. The galaxy was about to witness the return of humanity's wrath. The Zephyrian battle fleet emerged from hyperspace like a constellation of deadly stars, their crystalline hulls reflecting the light of a distant sun. 12 heavy cruisers, 4 battle carriers, and the massive flagship Crystal Throne commanded by Emperor Zilmoth himself. Against them stood a single human dreadnought, crewed by the last 2 members of a supposedly extinct species. "Marcus," Kate said from her station, "I'm reading massive energy signatures. They're not holding back." "Good," Marcus replied, his hands steady on the controls. "I want the whole galaxy to see this." The Titan's fury hung motionless in space, waiting. On bridges across the alien fleet, commanders hesitated. The human ship wasn't running, wasn't trying to escape. It simply waited, like a sleeping dragon daring them to wake it. Emperor Zilmoth's image filled the main screen, his royal crown pulsing with angry bioluminescence. "Human, you have violated our space, attacked our facilities, and stolen our property. Surrender immediately and your death will be swift." Marcus stood slowly, Kate beside him. Together, they represented the final chapter of humanity's story. "Emperor, 50 years ago, your people watched 3 billion humans die and did nothing. Today, 2 humans are going to show you what we were really capable of." The Emperor's laugh was like breaking crystal. 2 humans against an entire fleet? "Your species always was delusional." "Nexus," Marcus said quietly. "Implement Protocol Omega." The ship's AI hesitated for the first time in 50 years. "Captain, Protocol Omega will result in total system overload. The ship will not survive." "Execute the protocol." Kate placed her hand on Marcus's shoulder. "For Earth. For Earth." The Titan's fury suddenly blazed with energy that defied physics. Every fusion reactor, every power cell, every backup system fed into the ship's weapons array. The dreadnought became a star, burning with the concentrated fury of a dead civilization. The first salvo from the human ship struck the Zephyrian flagship like the wrath of gods. The Crystal Throne's shields evaporated instantly, its hull cracking, along stress lines that hadn't existed moments before. Secondary explosions rippled through the massive vessel as ancient human weapons proved their superiority over modern alien technology. But the Zephyrian fleet was vast, and they returned fire with everything they had. The Titan's fury shuddered under the assault, armor plating vaporizing, systems failing, hull breaches venting atmosphere into space. "Hull integrity at 30%, Nexus reported, its voice becoming fragmented as systems overloaded. Marcus felt blood running down his face from where a falling beam had struck him, but his hands never left the controls. "Kate, get to the Wayne. Escape pods." "Not a chance," she replied, rerouting power to the weapons even as her console exploded in sparks. "We started this together. We finish it together." Across the galaxy, the battle was being broadcast on every frequency, transmitted. By hidden beacons the Titan's fury had deployed. On 1,000 worlds, alien civilians watched as 2 humans fought an entire fleet and refused to yield. On the Corvin homeworld, protesters began gathering in the streets, demanding answers about their government's role in humanity's genocide. In the Nexari Collective, worker drones began asking questions their programming had never allowed before. The truth was spreading like wildfire, and no amount of censorship could stop it. The Titan's fury was dying, but it was taking the Zephyrian fleet with it. 6 cruisers were destroyed, 2 carriers crippled, and the flagship listing badly with massive hull breaches. But there were still too many enemies, and the human ship was at the end of its strength. "Marcus," Kate said softly, "Nexus found something. There are other humans, hidden colonies, survivors in deep space, prisoners on dozens of worlds. We're not the last." Marcus smiled through the pain and exhaustion. "Then our job isn't to survive. It's to make sure they remember us." The final explosion of the Titan's fury was visible from 3 star systems away. The ancient human dreadnought died as it had lived, with defiance, honor, and an unbreakable will. But in its death, it accomplished something no weapon could. It gave humanity back its voice. Within hours of the battle, hidden human settlements began broadcasting their locations. Alien governments found themselves facing massive civilian uprisings demanding justice. The conspiracy that had seemed so complete 50 years ago began to crumble as the galaxy remembered that some things were unforgivable. Kate Volkov survived, rescued by ships from a hidden human colony that had received Marcus's final transmission. She became the voice of the new human resistance, leading scattered survivors back into the light. The galaxy learned that day that humanity's greatest weapon had never been their technology or their warships. It was their refusal to accept defeat, their ability to inspire others to stand up for what was right, and their determination to make their enemies remember the price of genocide. Marcus Stone died as he had lived, protecting the innocent and fighting for justice. But in his sacrifice, humanity found its second dawn, and the galaxy would never again make the mistake of counting humans out too early.